Hi guys, welcome to Finest Vehicles. Today we will look at 80 sedans that soon could be worth a fortune. And stay tuned, because somewhere in this video we will present a fun fact that you will find very interesting. Number 10. The Toyota Century with an average value of $5,313. The first generation Toyota Century, which offers style and dependability, is arguably one of the best luxury vehicles under $10,000. It typically costs slightly more than $5,000. In exchange, you'll get one of the most dependable V8 engines ever, as well as one of the best-kept luxury vehicles ever produced. Even though the 1989 Century is already a vehicle from the 1970s, it still has features like wool or leather seats, an automated climate control system, and various leather and wood accents throughout the cabin. It is the Mercedes-Benz S-Class's Japanese equivalent. Even though they both experienced depreciation, older Centuries began to show indications of increasing value. Number 9. The Volvo 740 with an average value of $6,268. Most 1970s and 1980s cars are beater cars that are bought only by young people or the elderly. Except if you know what to search for. An excellent example of an automobile investment is the 1989 Volvo 740. With an average price of slightly over $6,000, there's a good chance you can purchase one of these vintage Volvo sedans and resell it for a profit in the following 5 years. It goes without saying that a 740's value increases with its scarcity and power. One of the rare inexpensive Swedish collector's cars is a Volvo 740 Turbo sedan, so you can be confident you have one if you find one. Number 8. The 1989 Mercedes-Benz W124 300e with an average value of $9,482. The well-maintained 300e is still a dream car collector's dream in Germany, sharing a personality with the Mercedes-Benz 500e, one of the greatest sleeper cars ever made. The Mercedes of the 1980s had a 3.0-liter naturally aspirated inline-six engine instead of a massive V8. Even with its classic styling and unexpectedly quick 7.5 seconds to 60 miles per hour, the Mercedes-Benz 300e costs slightly less than $10,000 on average. But given the direction of the market, that figure ought to rise steadily over time. Number 7. The Ford Taurus with an average value of $10,783. We adore sleeper cars today because of the Ford Taurus. The Ford Taurus SHO from the 1980s was so amazing that even though the car wasn't bad in and of itself, we all fell in love with it. Even though the Taurus SHO was front-wheel drive, it was powered by a 3.0-liter naturally aspirated Yamaha Ford super high-output V6 that produced 220 horsepower and was built to last 500,000 miles. Given how amazing the Taurus SHO was, it prevented the price of the base model Taurus from falling too low. Nevertheless, following years of gradual appreciation, these vintage Ford Taurus sedans, along with other vehicles from the 1970s and 1980s, exhibit the possibility of continuously appreciating in value. Number 6. The Volvo 244 with an average value of $9,030. Despite being smaller than the 740, the 1989 Volvo 244 typically fetches a higher price than the 740, with an average valuation of slightly over $9,000. Base model Volvo 244s are nothing special, save for the fact that well-maintained examples are hard to find these days. There was never a hot version of the Volvo 244, unlike the Volvo 740, but there were faster, comparable Volvos, such as the $27,000 plus Volvo 242 Turbo. We can't help but wonder how valuable these Swedish sedans will become in the future because there are fewer and fewer examples in mint condition. Number 5. The BMW 3 Series with an average value of $12,245. The iconic E30 sports sedan, arguably the best 3 Series generation ever, rendered muscle cars obsolete. Even though the 318i's meager 101 horsepower meant that E33 series BMWs weren't exactly powerhouses right out of the box, their masterfully designed chassis and aftermarket support allowed them to take on industry titans. Values for the BMW 3 Series have been rising for a few years now due to the widespread affection for this generation of cars. Other E30 trim levels will eventually become unaffordable given that E30 M3 models are selling for well over six figures. Number 4. The Bentley Turbo Or with an average value of $13,016. We can't say that investing in a fast, vintage Bentley from the 80s is a wise financial move, but we can say that these used classic cars are far less expensive than you may imagine. A 1989 Bentley Turbo Or typically costs just a little bit more than $13,000. Given that the base price of this Bentley was approximately $150,000 in the past, we can only imagine the financial ruin experienced by those who purchased one brand new. These vintage Bentleys would be incredible values if it weren't for the absurdly high maintenance expenses and difficult ownership experience. In spite of this, the value of Turbo Or models is also gradually increasing. Number 3. The BMW 7 Series with an average value of $27,472. The E23 BMW 7 Series, particularly the L7 trim level, is another 1980s vehicle that is becoming more and more valuable. Although the L7 is one of the most underappreciated specifications, it's unlikely that many of you are unfamiliar with the brand. Fundamentally, the L7 was the 1980s 7 Series limousine model. This meant that in addition to having more legroom, the L7 had a 3.4-liter six-cylinder engine producing 182 horsepower, a comfortable ride, and an interior fit for a king. L7 BMWs sell for about $27,500 on average, but even at that price, their value keeps rising, just as other 1970s BMW vehicles are beginning to do. Number 2. The Nissan Skyline sedan with an average value of $28,945. Very few JDM enthusiasts are interested in the Skyline sedan models that aren't GTR models, but it is wise to look beyond them. This E30 Skyline sedan is one example. These Skyline sedans sell for an average of $28,945, though no one seems to be raving about them. The E30 Skyline came with a wide range of engines, including some RB engines. The E30 Skyline sedan, although it did not have the GTR engine, was equipped with one of the greatest naturally aspirated six-cylinder engines ever made. Before we go to the number 1 on this list, here's the fun fact of this video. Did you know that the new car smell is composed of 50 volatile organic compounds? Prolonged exposure to VOCs can result in serious health effects. But boy, do we love the smell of 50 volatile organic compounds in the morning. And now, for number 1. The Aston Martin Lagonda with an average value of $57,006. Even though many high-end luxury manufacturers today, like Lamborghini Urus and Ferrari Purosangue, build useful cars, it was unheard of back in the 1980s. Although Aston Martin took a risk when creating the Lagonda, the project ultimately failed. In the 1980s, no one desired a four-door Aston Martin that would have cost several houses. Prices fell along with the decline in demand, and an average 1981 Aston Martin Lagonda is currently valued at $57,000. Even though there are plenty of V8 cars under $30,000 that are objectively better depreciated, not all of them will be as valuable as the misunderstood Lagonda. Which one would you like to own? Give your opinion in the comments. Did you enjoy this video? Then please like and subscribe for more of the best new vehicle videos here at Finest Vehicles.